Hello and welcome to Life Unrestricted. I'm your host, Dr. Al Cobb. I'm a board-certified chiropractor and concussion rehab enthusiast in Lubbock, Texas. This podcast is devoted to helping you explore life and health in all of its many facets so that you can live a life that's truly unrestricted. Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to do a little bit of a different type of podcast. I'm going to share my story of concussion and why I decided to start this podcast in the first place and where I wanted to continually evolve and move toward. So my story with health really is a story of concussion and concussion rehab. And I didn't know that at the time. So for myself, I grew up playing sports. The sport that I eventually felt my best at and I felt home in was football. And so I played quarterback at the high school and then at the collegiate level at the Virginia Military Institute in Lexington, Virginia. So it was a D1 AA school. And I say all that to say that I've had concussions throughout my entire career, but that's not even where my biggest concussion and the after effects happened. So about a year after I graduated VMI and started working, I was working for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I was living a life of post-athletics burnout is what I would probably call that best. Meaning that I wasn't being active, I wasn't exercising, I wasn't eating well, I wasn't hydrating well, I wasn't doing anything that was good for my health physically. I wasn't sleeping well, I stayed up way too late, I was doing some things that were harming my body for sure. And I think a year after that, it kind of culminated in this event. On top of that, I'm playing soccer, kicking the soccer ball around, and I take a header from a D1 athlete about, I don't know, from the other side of the pitch. And I fell down and I was dizzy, saw stars. I didn't think anything of it. I was nauseous a little bit. And then about a week later, I had my first panic attack. So I think a lot of these things were culminating in this moment. So I had this panic attack, and it was the most bizarre experience I'd ever felt. I had never had this before. I was completely taken by surprise by it. And when I say that to point out the fact that I had never had anything go on like this. I had never had mental health issues. I had never struggled with depression or anxiety. I was always very even keel, very laid back, and I never really had any struggles with mental health by any means. Really any struggles with health in general. Very healthy my entire life. I had some injuries along the way, of course, playing sports and just being a boy. But I had come to this moment where my life just kind of shattered. And if you've ever been there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you've had panic attacks, you know the goosebumps that you get, you know the racing thoughts that start to happen, and the inner turmoil that starts to take place inside of your body. So that was very, very hard for me. Not only just the actual physical components of it or the emotional components, but just the fact that it happened and I had no idea of the reasons. I had no idea of the mechanisms, but I also had never experienced it. So it was a new experience for me, which was very bizarre. And that sent me into a spiral of depression, of anxiety, which again, I had never had before. I lost about 25, 30 pounds because my appetite was gone, and that was over several months. And I was just a completely different person overnight. Also started to experience something called depersonalization. And that's essentially when you disconnect your psyche from your real life, is the best way that I explain it. And it seems like you're playing a video game of your own life. It seemed like I was watching my life in third person. My life was not really my own life. My memories weren't my own memories. And for a while there, I could even call my family or I could think about my family and it would feel like they're not even truly my family. Like they're just people that I know that are another family. It was the most bizarre experience. And if you ever experienced that, I'm so sorry. And I would love to share and talk with you about that experience. But the reason I put this all in context of concussion is what I know now. knowing that concussions not only affect the neurological structures, but they also affect how those structures function. It affects the nervous system. It affects the digestive system, the hormonal system. It can affect all these different aspects of life. And I don't think that it was a coincidence that a week after I had that first head injury post-sports, that I had a panic attack alongside with all the things that were going on in my life. That was impactful for me because now I can look back and see all of those things aligning to get me to where I was. And if you've ever been in an experience like this, you know that you just want some answers. And that's where I was. I wanted answers. I wanted to know how to get out of this. And I didn't want to go the traditional route of medication. Nothing wrong or nothing against it. But I just inherently knew in my own body and my own experience that that wasn't the answer for me. I knew that I wanted to find out why this happened, how I get my health back, because I knew it would take longer, but I would have better health outcomes and resilience on the other side of it. And I would be better for it. So I started to research. I started to look at all the articles I could, all the podcasts that I could find, and podcasts weren't as popular at the time in 2018. I started to look for all of the TED Talks that I could possibly get my hands on. All the books. I read so many different books on health. I started to implement some different strategies. I started to exercise more frequently. I started to meet with a counselor on a regular basis. I started to explore some of these things. I started journaling, really digging deep into why I was experiencing these issues emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. That eventually led me into a chiropractor's office. And I'm extremely grateful for that experience because that chiropractor, Dr. Pete Sulak in Knoxville, Tennessee, man, he started to explain health in a way that I had never thought about it previously to my journey. And he set me up on a path to start experiencing healing at a rapid level, to start to understand how the nervous system functioned, to start to understand why it was important to take care of your spine and your nervous system and feed it useful information. And that's why I'm sitting here today. Within several months of that, I quit my time at the Fellowship of Christian Athletes because it was pretty much impossible for me to pour out. And I just needed to have some time to step back and serve. So I started to serve at that chiropractic office. I was taking trash out, answering phone calls completely for free. It wasn't like they were not paying me. I just chose to show up and see how I could help and how I could learn. And I eventually just became part of the team at a volunteer basis. And so I enjoyed my time there as an intern, as someone who's just helping out around the office. And I got to start a friendship with a buddy, Jay, who was a chiropractor there. Still friends today. If you're in the Nashville, Franklin area, Jay Taralba at Origin is definitely your go-to. That's my guy. But anyways, it's why I went to chiropractic school and why I get to sit before you today. So I want to encourage you with just a couple of things. One is this: your life does not have to be restricted. And I don't want you to look at your life as restricted. Even if there are areas where you need to have some restrictions, like you can't go just out of the blue deadlift 500 pounds. That's a good restriction to have, right? But when it comes to things like your mindset toward your health, you have it in you to heal. You have people around you that want to see you heal and take on health at a new capacity and a new level. Your body was created to heal and to adapt. And we just need to help your body inherently take those stressors off of it so that it can do what it's supposed to do in the first place. 2, education is going to empower you. That's why I started this podcast, to be able to empower you, to help you along your journey to getting your life back, just like I did. I wish I would have had a series of podcasts that I could listen to at that moment like there are now, that I could potentially use as a series of protocols to help me get my life back. So 2, education is empowerment. 3, if you have experienced a brain injury or a concussion, which is a mild traumatic brain injury, and you experience some of these symptoms, you are not crazy. Talk with people very often about this experience. They don't understand why, and nobody's explained to them why they have these symptoms, and they've been written off as crazy, or it's just in your head. Every time you have some type of brain injury or mild enough brain injury to cause a concussion, and it can even be a 5 to 10 mile per hour car accident, depending on the situation and your own personal body, you have the potential to start this cascade of brain inflammation that can impact the digestive system, the hormonal system, your psychological experience, your mind, and other aspects of your body and health. And it's important to be able to learn how you can start to heal from that, as opposed to someone telling you it's just in your head and you got to learn to live with it. I reject that thought that you have to just live with your experience, because there's always something you can do to better your health. And I don't want to demean your experience with where you are, but I also want to encourage you to not be complacent or not be content with exactly where you are and stay there. When I was going through my journey, it was important for me to understand that this is where I am right now. I was realistic with where I was, but I didn't allow that thought to let me set up camp there. I knew that I was there for a moment in time, and I was going to use that. That was going to be leveraged to help me move forward throughout the rest of my life. And that's exactly what happened. Now, if I still had some of those symptoms, I would still have that mindset, because I don't want to find myself in a place where I don't think I can be helped, and I don't think there's something that I can do or something good that can come out of the situation. And that's what I want to encourage you with. I don't want to demean your situation or the length of time that you've been in your journey, because we are all on some type of journey throughout our health. But again, I want to encourage you and empower you to not stay there, even if it's just mentally, to have the mindset that at some point I'm improving. Even if it's mentally that you're improving, maybe your body isn't functioning the way that you want it to, but mentally, I'm able to think through this better. I'm able to have comfort and peace in my situation, knowing that it's going to be used for the good. So that's what I'll leave you with today. Now I want to kind of pull back the curtain to what is coming up next. So the month of March is Traumatic Brain Injury Awareness Month. It's important to be able to have these conversations, and I'm extremely grateful for the amount of research and attention and time that's been devoted to creating resources for people who have experienced traumatic brain injuries. And with concussions being a mild traumatic brain injury and existing on that spectrum, I want to personally devote my month of March to creating content that's going to help you along your concussion journey. And that's why I started with this one. So with that in mind, every week on Monday mornings, I will release a podcast with some health expert or somebody who is an advocate for concussion rehab, so that we can talk through some of these complex issues. If you're a patient, if you're a practitioner or a clinician, or if you're just somebody who is interested in learning about this situation that a lot of people are going through. Because the biggest thing that you can have on your side is education on this complex topic. So every Monday, I will release a podcast for the month of March to help you understand the background of concussions, what can go wrong, what to look for, and also how to heal from them. You're going to want to stay tuned to these concussion podcasts, because they are with experts in the field and people who are running advocacy programs. If you'd like some more information on the exact podcasts that are coming out. I will start to release information on guests that I'm interviewing. I'll do that after I have the interview so that I'm not leading you on. You can follow me at dr.alcobb on Instagram. That's where you're going to engage with me best. This podcast will be released on Apple, Spotify, and we'll start doing it on YouTube with these podcasts. At the end of the month or early April, I'm going to be hosting a concussion workshop as well here in Lubbock live so that we can dive deep into these topics with people who are interested. If you'd like to be involved in that conversation, reach out to me. So that's all I've got today. I hope this helps you. I hope this blesses you. Please share it to somebody. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow the Spotify and Apple podcasts. We are going to change the mindsets of concussion in West Texas and around the world. Have full confidence in that. Thank you so much. Please reach out to me if you need anything. And I can't wait to guide you through concussion care for the month of March. You guys have a good one, and God bless.